Hello, welcome back to the Board Games 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a relatively old game. We're going to be talking about Summoner Wars, the master set. And this is a game where you'll be taking control of a faction. You'll be trying to summon units onto the board by spending magic points that will allow you to overrun enemy territory and eventually take out the opponent's summoner, which will allow you to win the game. So in this video, we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We're telling you what we do like, we don't like. And we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Summoner Wars is still worth playing. 9 years after the master set was first released, but I'm sure there was an earlier version, came with a crappy paper matte. But anyway, we're talking about the master set here. So remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. We'll see you after this.
Board Games 4K.
So, Summoner Wars. How'd you play this game? So this is a relatively simple game. There's going to be 6 phases to your turn, right? And the idea is to destroy your opponent's summoner, who is generally considered to be like the leader or the strongest character in each faction, right? So before you start the game, you're going to put the board out in the center of the table. It comes in some weird half board thing that you're going to have to put together. Each faction's got a starting setup card. You're going to place different starting units in different places of the board, and then away you go. It's that simple. You're going to roll a die to see who goes first, and the player that goes first will have to forfeit the first 3 phases of their turn, sort of maybe like a balancing thing, right? So the first phase of the game is you're going to draw up to 5 cards. You're going to have a hand of 5 cards, right? So you're going to take the number of cards that's going to bring your hand up to 5 from your draw deck. Easy peasy, right? So the next thing you're going to do, phase number 2, is you're going to be able to summon units onto the board, right? And you'll see that each unit has got a summon cost. You'll look at the deck of cards that's in the magic space, and you'll spend those cards that you've accumulated in your magic pile to summon those units on the board. And each unit has to be summoned to an adjacent space next to a wall card. And wall cards aren't units, they just are sort of basically brick walls that can be destroyed, but they're a pain in the neck, and they allow you to summon units to adjacent spaces, not diagonal. So the next phase of the game is the event phase, and you'll be able to play an event card from your hand into your discard pile and do what it says. And different things happen in the events. We're going to use the Sunderved faction as an example of this one. So you might be able to play the Superior Planning event card, in which case you search your draw or discard pile for a Sunderved event card, reveal the card, and then place the card in your hand and shuffle the draw pile. Or you might be able to use the fallback event card, in which case you'll choose a wall that you control, and at the end of your turn you may place your summoner and up to 2 common units that you control adjacent to the wall. So these are ways to sort of mix the game up a little bit, and maybe just give you a little bit more game than just moving units around, right? So the next phase of this game is the movement phase, and what you'll be able to do, you'll be able to move up to 3 units, 2 spaces each, and all units will be able to move 2 spaces. Doesn't matter whether they're like a summoner or whether they're just these sort of grunt units, they're all going to move 2 spaces. You can't move diagonally, you can only move orthogonally, and that's basically it, you know what I mean? So the next phase is the attack phase, and this is where you're going to kick some ass, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to attack with up to 3 different units, and you'll see that there's 2 different types of attacks. You've got the melee attack and you've got the traditional ranged attack, right? Melee attacks have to be adjacent is orthogonal, and ranged attacks can take place from up to 3 spaces away in a straight line, right? So what you'll do, you'll look at the character's strength, and then you'll roll that many dice. If you get a 3, 4 or 5, you've scored a hit. If you get a 1 or a 2, then you have missed because you're a crap shot, right? So what you do, if you hit, you put a wound marker on, and you'll keep doing this, you'll keep adding wound markers until you equaled or exceeded the character's life, and then they will be destroyed. You'll take the card of the opponent you've just destroyed, you put it in your magic pile, and you'll be able to use that card to summon your own units, right? So the final stage is to build magic. This is a way of getting rid of the crap cards from your hand. You look through your hand of cards, and any cards you want to discard, you put them in your magic pile, and then they can be used to summon units in your next turn. Right, so each unit has a special ability as well. It's represented in a bit of text that you've got to read and you've got to give yourself a headache over. Some of the special abilities abilities, you've got the basic special ability for the Brute, which is a common card in the deck. And this is the knockaround ability. So after wounding a unit with an attack from the Brute, if that unit is not destroyed, you may move it up to 3 clear straight line spaces, right? Or you might be able to activate the special ability of Groudon, the champion of the mountain Vargarth, right? And you can use the Sunder Hammer. So at the end of your turn, you may choose a wall that is adjacent to Groudon and add 2 wound markers to the chosen wall card. This geezer is totally solid. He's harder than me, isn't he? Or you can use the ability of your summoner. And if you use the Sunderved summoner's ability, he's got a command special ability. And this says when attacking with a common mountain Vargarth unit you control that is within 2 spaces of Sunderved, add 1 to the unit's attack value during that attack. So these special abilities do change the game up when you add them with event cards on your turn. They can be really powerful, and basically you'll keep doing this until one of you has destroyed the other one's summoner, and that allows you to win the game of Summoner Wars. So what do we like about Summoner Wars? So the first thing that we like about this game, and this is what the game is most famous for, is the amount of variety of different units and different expansions that you can get for this game. We got the master set. I think there's 6 factions in this. The game box does look a bit sparse. I think it's more for storage or whatever. And you've got the Alliance expansion, you've got the small box expansions, and there's loads and loads of stuff, loads and loads of expansions. So if you get addicted to this game, and believe me, a lot of people have, then you aren't going to run out of different combinations of factions ever in your lifetime. Well, it depends how long you live, doesn't it, really? So the second thing that we like about Summoner Wars is that each faction has different special abilities in the form of events, and then you can go even deeper than that, and you can say that each unit has its own special ability that sort of work well together when you're sort of chaining these things together, you know what I mean? So there's abilities that allow you to activate it when you maybe move next to somebody, or when someone moves next to you, or there's different abilities where you can hit and run, for instance, the ability you said earlier where the summoner can beat somebody up and then hide behind a wall. There's a huge variety of abilities that complement the very simple mechanics of the game. So the next thing that we like about Summoner Wars, and this leads on from the last point that we made, is that the rule set is so simple that even my cat can play it. And my cat's dead. It's just 6 steps. It's basically just sort of move and attack and move with a couple of bolt-ons like the magic points and maybe summoning a few units. But the rule set is very, very simple at its core, right? So the final thing that we really like about Summoner Wars is the fact there's not really any setup to this game. You've just got this little card which tells you where you're going to put your starting units, and then away you go. You've already got the rules in your head, because the rule set takes about 2 minutes to get inside your head, and then you know what you're doing because all the other instructions are on the cards that you are going to use. So we like the fact that you don't really need to pore over the rule book. You don't really need a PhD or any kind of postdoctoral research degree to start playing this game. So what don't we like about Summoner Wars? So the first thing we don't like about Summoner Wars is the fact that it's hard to remember. It's bloody impossible to remember all the different special abilities of all of your units and all of your opposing units, right? Because you're going to need to know what your opponent's special abilities are in order to counter them. So we've had this game for ages, but I played this with my little boy the other day, and he is sort of new to this game, and he really struggled to even remember what was on his cards. And I'd noticed that he was sort of getting tired of leaning over, looking at the card, reading it, thinking, how is that card going to be affected by other units or like my dad's units, right? So I think he got fed up with just keep poring over the board, trying to remember the units, trying to remember what I was going to do. And it was a really frustrating experience for him. So unless you spend a lot of time on this game to collect that vast amount of information, then it's going to be a real struggle for you to get these strategies into your brain. So the next thing that we don't like about Summoner Wars is that the combat system in this is just downright lazy. I mean, you're basically just going to roll a die and hope that you don't roll a 1 or a 2, and that's basically it. Okay, there are different special abilities that are going to affect the outcome of the die roll, but it's essentially lazy. I mean, if you think about the other 2-player skirmish game that we really enjoy, it's Memoir 44, and yeah, that does have dice rolling as well, but in Memoir 44, you've got different symbols on the dice, and they are affected by the different strategies and the different cards that you're going to be playing. In this, it's just a case of hoping that you're going to roll a 3, 4, 5 or a 6, and that sucks. So the next thing that we don't like about Summoner Wars is that the artwork or the aesthetic of the game is complete and utter dog shit. It looks like it's been rescued from a swamp. The artwork is completely washed out. The pictures of the characters on the cards are really, really poor. I mean, it would have been better had they used artwork that actually popped out of the board. Instead, it looks too two-dimensional. There's no miniatures in this game, it's just cards. So the cards look flat, and eventually you end up not even noticing that there is a character attached to the very, very dense and small text that's on the cards, and that's poo. So the final thing that we don't like about Summoner Wars is the gameplay is essentially bloody boring, right? The game plods along at a snail's pace with no real reason to retreat back into your own quarters, right? The game essentially boils down to this constant back and forth. So you're going to move a unit next to your opponent's unit, and there's no real reason to move it out of the way. So you're just going to be attacking, then your opponent's going to be attacking, and it's just a case of who's going to get the lucky die roll until somebody has won. Okay, I know I can hear you screaming that there are special abilities that you can use to sort of counter that, but essentially at its core, that's all it's going to be. It's just a sort of a tug of war, push me, pull you sort of mechanic that is going to decide the outcome of this game. So, to summarise, is Summoner Wars still worth your bother today and in the future? So we are going to say no, this is a dated and ultimately lame duck of a game compared to what's available today. It is interesting experimenting with the vast array of factions that are available for this game and experimenting trying to figure out the nuances of this game, but the masses of intricate exceptions and tiny text on the cards make becoming proficient at this game just a bloody chore. It's absolutely clear to me that this is a relic of the sort of Magic the Gathering era. I think people were trying to sort of find a way of sort of translating the success of Magic the Gathering into a traditional tabletop board game. And okay, they did succeed back in the day because we did enjoy this not when it first came out, but a couple of years after it came out, we did enjoy this game. But now we've recently replayed it quite a bit, and it's sort of fallen by the wayside. And I always think to myself when I drag this game out that why the hell am I not playing Memoir 44? Because it's an infinitely better game. It's got miniatures, more scenarios, it's more tactical, and it's just more fun. I don't see any reason to play Summoner Wars in the future, and in fact I'm probably going to get rid of it because it's just going to be a dust magnet. So we're going to give Summoner Wars 2 out of 5. It's going to avoid tapping out of 1 because it does have a lot of content for it, but there you go, that's Summoner Wars. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we will see you next time.